Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, maybe the most structural deep dive we've ever encountered, and that's all thanks to the source materials you, the listener, sent us.
It's definitely a unique one.
Our initial mission was, fascinating enough on its own. Dive deep into a summary of Robert Greene's huge work, The Laws of Human Nature. The summary itself came from the YouTube channel Escaping Ordinary BC Marks.
A pretty straightforward task, usually.
Okay, let's unpack this. But when we actually got the file, we realized the core subject wasn't Greene's laws at all. It was the profound failure of digital information itself.
Yeah. The file was almost entirely corrupted. It's a perfect, almost chilling example of information entropy in action.
Exactly. So our whole mission shifted.
Precisely. Our task went from analyzing content to conducting a kind of digital archaeology. We're not summarizing human nature today. We're trying to piece together the story from the remnants of a catastrophic file transfer.
So we have to treat what's left, the structural data, the ghost of the file, as the only real facts we have.
Right. And it raises a really important question. When the content, the signal, is completely gone, what can you actually learn from the packaging that survived?
We're analyzing resilience, not information.
Mm.
And the most compelling part, for me, is the context that did survive. The metadata is pristine.
The label on the box, basically.
So label on the box, it clearly says its subject is the laws of human nature. It even has the source channel. We know exactly what this file promised to be.
Even though it delivered, well, nothing but static.
It feels like a perfect digital metaphor for perception versus reality, which, is a theme Greene himself talks about a lot.
It is. The authoritative wrapper survived perfectly, but the product inside just turned to dust.
So let's start peeling back those layers. Let's look at the actual architecture. What parts of the file itself managed to hang on?
Okay, so what's immediately fascinating is that there's a clear hierarchy of survival here. The sheer volume of structural identifiers that made it through the corruption is just staggering.
And these aren't just random characters, right?
No, not at all. They are recognizable file paths that you see in highly formatted documents, specifically ones based on XML.
Okay, wait, hold on. Before we get too deep in the alphabet soup there. For the listener who might not be wrestling with technical specs every day,
Yeah?
what exactly is an XML structure in this context, and why would that survive when the actual words are just gone?
That's a crucial question. Think of XML extensible markup language as the skeletal frame of the document.
The blueprint.
The blueprint, the instruction manual, exactly. It dictates where the text goes, what font it uses, how images are placed. It is the architecture.
So when data loss happens,
The architecture, because it's so repetitive and logically sort of protected, it often survives much better than the dynamic content, which is the actual text.
so if the text is the priceless art, the XML tags are the museum blueprints and the climate control settings.
That's a perfect analogy. Less glamorous, but far more robust.
Right.
And we saw that. We saw the structural files that define the document's appearance survive. Things like wordtheme1.xml and wordstyles.xml.
Which tells us the original script was meant to be really organized visually and logically. They wanted it to look professional.
Absolutely. It speaks to the intent of the creators.
They built this summary to be clear and readable, even if we can't actually read it.
And the presence of wordfonttable.xml even shows they paid attention to the specific typeface. This was a polished document.
And you said some layers are even more resilient than others.
Oh yeah, the document properties, the metadata about the document itself are incredibly robust. We found files like docpropsapp.xml and docpropscore.xml.
And what do those do?
They hold details like what program created the file, when it was last saved,
Yeah.
the file's basic identity.
That's like opening a package that got run over by a truck and finding the shipping label, the list of contents, and the packing tape are all perfectly intact.
But the item inside is just powder.
Wow.
It's a really compelling digital hierarchy. The information most critical to the user, the content, is the least protected.
And the information most critical to the computer, the structure, is the most protected. Okay, so if that's the structure that survived, let's dive into the actual wreckage. Let's look at the data fragments themselves. This is where it gets really, really interesting for me, because these fragments aren't just noise, they are patterns.
Right. We're moving from the reliable blueprints to the chaos of the text blocks. And yes, the characters are mostly unintelligible. You see sequences like W or RW%G69s just scattered everywhere.
But you're saying we can analyze the nature of that failure?
We can hunt for patterns in the static, and we find them.
Like what?
Multiple fragments contain repeated encoding sequences. these systematic internal identifiers. We see variations like 0.0D or 0.0dB pop up again and again.
And specific character blends like 2EK9R.
Exactly.
But why are those systematic? Couldn't that just be random noise that happens to look similar?
That's the critical distinction. If this were purely random static, the probability of seeing these exact sequences recur so often would be incredibly low.
So it's not a coincidence.
Not at all. It suggests these were actual data elements, internal pointers maybe, or compression markers, that the computer tried and failed to translate back into human language.
They're like ghost scaffolding.
That's a great way to put it. The system knew they were important, but it lost the key to unlock them.
It's the machine trying to speak, but it's stuck in an alien language. You mentioned that one string, D4J9 kern, and so on.
Yes.
Those chaotic fragments, they feel like they must represent some kind of highly compressed data that just exploded on arrival.
And that leads us to the biggest technical insight of this whole dive. Hidden among the closing file references, we repeatedly see a very distinct two-letter sequence, PK.
You see things like wordstyles.xmlpk and docpropscore.xmlpk. For those of us not familiar with file headers, break that down. Why is that little PK sequence such a massive discovery here?
Because PK is the universal calling card for compressed archives, specifically ZIP files.
Oh, like when you zip a folder of photos to email them?
Precisely that. Think of it as the digital rubber band. It's the primary header that tells a computer, warning, the following file is condensed, and you have to unpack it first.
And the unpacking fails?
The unpacking failed, catastrophically.
Yeah.
The presence of that signature confirms the exact mechanism of failure.
So this wasn't just slow data decay. This was a packaging failure.
Yes. The transfer process involved compression, and somewhere along the line, the decompression algorithm just broke. The core knowledge was locked inside a digital vault, and the key was lost.
Wow. That changes the whole story. The very method they used to make the content easier to transfer, the compression, is the exact thing that led to its complete obliteration.
The efficiency became the agent of absolute loss.
Which creates a powerful bridge to the implications for all of us.
Exactly. For knowledge consumption.
Which brings us to the so what moment, Section 3. The implications for information reliability. This is the crucial point for the learner out there, the person who relies on these quick digital summaries to stay informed.
And the lesson here is profound. It goes way beyond Robert Greene's book. This digital artifact is a perfect, tangible illustration of just how unreliable information can be.
Right.
Relying on a single, unverified digital transfer carries this inherent, and as we see here, severe risk.
We have a perfectly labeled, professionally packaged, empty box. So what does that mean for you, the learner, in your daily life?
It means we have to be incredibly critical of the relationship between the packaging and the substance. The source metadata, the title, the author, the channel, it all survives perfectly. It gives the document this immense sense of authority.
But the core substance, the actual facts, the summarized laws, just gone. We were delivered the promise of knowledge, not the knowledge itself. It's a very Green-like concept, isn't it? He talks about the law of grandiosity, where the image outpaces the reality.
That's a fantastic connection.
In our case, the digital architecture created this facade of competence, the professional layout, the clear source, but it was all covering an empty core. The file acted like a reliable source.
And that is a core danger in an age of information overload. We prioritize speed, we prioritize convenience, we often just rely on a single, clean summary.
And this document was an artifact of a video script, which is a format built for quick clarity, for hooks.
And that intent of clarity just contrasts so violently with the actual unusable output.
It forces us to ask, how often do we trust a summary just because the source seems legit, the formatting is clean, and the title sounds authoritative?
Without ever seeking verification of the substance inside. The shell is a siren call of competence, while the payload is just silence.
It really highlights the absolute necessity of redundancy, of verification. If you're building a mental model of something important, relying on one clean, fast digital transfer, a single summary, is just inherently fragile.
The structure can survive the trip, but the content can be pulverized.
The learner has to know that the speed of getting knowledge has to be balanced against how reliable it is.
The file system was highly resistant to destruction, but the content itself offered zero resistance. It's a powerful reminder that a clear presentation is not the same thing as truth.
A truly unique deep dive today. We focus not on the subject matter, but on the infrastructure, the hierarchy of resilience, and the sheer vulnerability of information transfer.
So to quickly summarize the key takeaways from this forensic analysis. First, the robust digital structure. The XML, the file paths, it all demonstrated this powerful resilience. It survived when the data payload was completely lost.
Right.
Second, the corrupted text wasn't just random. It showed systematic patterns and compression markers like that recurring PK signature, which confirmed the exact mechanism of failure.
hacking.
The failed unpacking. And third, the intended context, the title, the author. It offers this valuable framing even though the content is missing. And that really underscores the misleading authority of good packaging.
Thank you for sending in this really challenging material. It gave us a chance to rigorously examine the foundations of digital communication, a very tangible warning against trusting a shiny digital package.
And here's a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to take away. Considering that the structural and the aesthetic elements of this file survive perfectly, the formatting, the authorship, the source, what percentage of the knowledge you acquire daily is based on the packaging of that information? The authoritative tone, the clear layout, the branding, rather than the verifiable substance inside.
That's a critical question.
Something vital to mull over next time you rely on a quick summary.
That is a challenge for our information age. If you have your own collection of notes, articles, or research that needs a rigorous breakdown, no matter how esoteric or, as we found out today, how glitchy the source files might be, send them our way. We're ready to dive deep.